Becoming a champion is one thing in MMA, but it's even harder to stay there, and one of the protocols of holding a title is arriving at the weigh-in ready to defend it. Today, we look at the fighters who failed to reach this goal, along with the subsequent fallout from their battle with the scale. Welcome to the INC, and these are 5 MMA champions who missed weight. Charles Oliveira was the toast of the MMA world entering 2022. Once regarded as a promising but flawed fighter, Oliveira started putting things together in 2018, embarking on a 9-fight winning streak that culminated in his win over Michael Chandler for the UFC Lightweight Championship. At UFC 274, Oliveira made his second title defense against fan favorite Justin Gaethje, but plans for the bout were thrown into question when Oliveira weighed in half a pound above the 155-pound weight limit. Oliveira was given an extra half an hour to make the limit. With a jog around the block and a few minutes in the sauna, the extra half a pound would surely be gone in no time.
They said he's still a half pound over.
What?
He lost nothing.
What'd he say?
They said 155.5.
He lost nothing. He's been gone for the last hour and they said he lost no weight.
Oliveira became the first UFC champion to be stripped of the title on the scale, and added with his 4 failures at featherweight, this made him the most frequent misser in company history. Oliveira did have defenders, however, with fellow misser Norma Dumont, claiming the weigh-in scale had been reset overnight, with many fighters finding out they were half a pound heavier than they thought the morning of the weigh-ins. Oliveira's match with Gaethje would go ahead with only the American eligible to win the belt, only for Oliveira to put on a clinical performance and throw the lightweight division into pure chaos. Despite no longer being champion, the controversy around the miss means that many still see Oliveira as lightweight's uncrowned king, with the Brazilian expected to get the chance to reclaim the throne later this year. Paulo Filho's weight miss sparked a dramatic downturn in his career. A jiu-jitsu black belt under Carlson Gracie, Filho was regarded as one of Brazil's brightest prospects, amassing an unbeaten record and pride before winning the WEC middleweight title. And with the company's owner Zuffa looking to merge the division with the UFC, the future looked bright for the 29-year-old. At WEC 31, Filho took on former UFC fighter Chael Sonnen, a bout which ended in controversy when Sonnen was accused of verbally submitting to an armbar. The scandal led to a rematch at WEC 36, but by this point Filho's personal life had taken a nosedive, with the Brazilian later admitting to battling depression and substance abuse problems in the months between the fight. So it came as no surprise when Filho hit the scales 4 pounds above the 185-pound limit. The biggest impact came from the fallout. The unified rules of MMA didn't have protocols for a champion missing weight, meaning Zuffa were unable to legally strip Filho of the title. As a result, Filho was allowed to retain the belt, and his match with Sonnen turned to a 3-round non-title fight. Filho looked decidedly out of sorts throughout the fight, refusing to throw any meaningful strikes, and by the end of the third, he had seemingly gone full Oliver McCall.
Who's he looking at? I feel like we're watching the movie with Woody Harrelson. He's like talking to Jesus or something in the middle of the ring.
Sonnen would win a bizarre encounter by unanimous decision, and the middleweight division was dissolved shortly after, meaning Sonnen would lose out on the only major title of his MMA career. While most of the WEC roster merged with the UFC, Filho was left on the outside looking in, instead competing on the Brazilian regional scene where the battle with his demons continued to affect his performance. Filho retired in 2014, having gone 7-5 post-Sonnen, while the unified rules were adapted to strip champions who missed weight. Jinyu Frey showed even the smallest fighters have trouble making weight. Frey gave up a degree in nuclear medicine to pursue one in MMA in 2013, eventually winning the Invicta atomweight title and becoming one of the company's most popular fighters, for obvious reasons. At Invicta 39, Frey took on longtime company veteran Ashley Cummins, a woman Frey had beaten in her rise up the rankings 3 years earlier. But plans for the bout were thrown into question when Frey hit the scales a pound above the 105-pound limit. Frey made no excuses for her weight miss, confessing on social media that she failed in her professionalism and admitted the weight miss made her question her future at 105. Cummins was still given the chance to win the title the following day, only for Frey to overcome early adversity and claim a close-fought contest by unanimous decision. Frey wouldn't take the chance to regain her title, instead accepting a short-notice call with the UFC, where she's currently 2-3 in the strawweight division. Cummins, meanwhile, was given a second crack at the belt at Invicta 42, only to suffer a submission loss to Alicia Zapatella, and hasn't fought in MMA since. It's easy to see why Brandon Halsey was one of the most hyped prospects in MMA. Halsey entered the sport with much fanfare, an NCAA All-American who dominated his early opponents with his clinical submission game, and after taking just 35 seconds to dethrone Alexander Shlemenko, the unbeaten middleweight was touted as a potential breakout star. In May 2015, Halsey made his first title defense against former Ultimate Fighter winner Kendall Grove. Halsey's preparations for the fight had been hampered by a leg injury sustained in training, but that excuse fell on deaf ears when he hit the scale 3 pounds above the 185 weight limit. Halsey had been known as one of the biggest weight cutters in the sport, dropping nearly 50 pounds to get down to 185, and had reportedly ignored calls from Bellator bosses to move to light heavyweight in the months before the Grove fight. Halsey would dominate Grove on the way to a 4th-round stoppage, but the weight miss soured his reputation with both fans and company bosses. Halsey would suffer his first career loss to Rafael Carvalho, and after a first-round submission loss to John Salter, he was released by the promotion in 2016. Halsey would become a journeyman figure in the years after the fight, enduring spells in Japan and Russia with limited levels of success, including an embarrassing loss to Shlemenko in their 2017 rematch.
He's down from Halsey! Oh! And Shlemenko still talking to Halsey! A lightning strike win for Alexander Shlemenko in the rematch!
Nicco Montano didn't just miss weight, but rather, she didn't turn up at all. Montano entered the public eye in 2017, where she won the 26th season of The Ultimate Fighter to become the first UFC flyweight champion, and setting her on course for a match with pound-for-pound star Valentina Shevchenko. Montano vs. Shevchenko was set for the co-main event of UFC 228, but after Montano had pushed the fight back multiple times, doubts were raised over whether the champion would go ahead with the bout, a sentiment shared by her illustrious opponent.
I hope that Nicco, she will follow her word and will show up in the octagon and we will fight, because how I say every time, before she will be inside of the octagon, I cannot believe that she will do it.
Shevchenko's worst fears came to reality when Montano was rushed to the hospital the day of the weigh-in due to complications with her weight cut, with later reports suggesting Montano entered fight week 20 pounds above the 125-pound weight limit. Montano was immediately stripped of her title and removed from the flyweight rankings a few months later. Despite moving to bantamweight, Montano's struggle with the scales continued, culminating last July when she weighed in 7 pounds above the limit for a match with Wu Yanan. The bout was axed from the card and Montano was released from the promotion the following week, having fought just once in the 4 years after The Ultimate Fighter. Montano hasn't fought in MMA since 2018, and after releasing a documentary criticizing weight cutting in combat sport, a return to the cage seems highly unlikely. And now, time for a few honorable mentions. Daniel Torres caused one of the biggest upsets of last year when he beat Saladin Parnas in KSW, only to undo his hard work when he failed to make weight for their rematch. Ray Cooper III got his PFL defense off to the worst start when he weighed 5 pounds over for his match with Carlos Leal. Jason Mayhem Miller weighed 24 pounds over the weight limit for his title match in Venator. Don't worry, maybe removing the shorts will help. Hey, this is the INC. Please like, share, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss a video. Or a weight cut,